Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Substitute Podcast, episode number 3. It's a regular thing. It's happening all the time now. And this week we're joined by Card Bazaar. So if you want to just introduce yourself and say what you do and that kind of thing.
Hi everyone, my name's Ash, and as Graham Growler said, I run Card Bazaar. I guess I'm the owner, but yeah, that's me.
Cool. So yeah, we've been chatting for a little while before this, so some of the stuff that I'll ask you probably we've already just talked about, but that's what podcasting is, isn't it?
For sure.
So it's becoming a regular feature to ask, what's the first Pokemon thing that you remember buying?
Well, I'm of the age, and I'm not going to give that one away because I'm old. I'm close to boomer as far as anyone else is concerned, but I'm of the age that I guess I was in late primary school when the first, well, Pokemon Red and Blue made it to the UK. It was around my birthday that Red came out, and I just vividly remember marching my parents down to the store saying, "That's what I want." They had no idea what it was, but that's what I want. So I remember getting that. But for that to have been a thing, I'm sure there would have been the odd, I don't know, plush toy or something to do with the anime, which had been around for a little longer before in the UK. But yeah, we'll go with Pokemon Red.
It's a pretty solid start, isn't it?
Yeah, straight in there.
So did you
Even though
yeah.
I'm a Bulbasaur fan, I don't agree with Red and Blue at the time. But anyway,
I'm Squirtle Squad all the way, I have to say.
Oh dear.
So did you watch the anime and stuff? I'm guessing as a kid, like most people did.
Yeah, so my best friend at school, at primary school, was I think his parents were Hong Kong natives, and so there was a lot of things that he, through family or through friends, was watching and enjoying that he'd always show me, and I'd, by virtue of that, I'd find. So I think whether it was that it was in the UK or my best friend happened to have these toys and we were super into them, we didn't know what they were. I think there was an element of that. So I was either watching the anime or he'd been bringing toys over that we were both playing with. But yeah, I definitely knew about Pokemon before it hit. And as a school kid, it's not through the news or through like magazines or anything. It would have been word of mouth for sure.
Say about the magazines, like when you see the magazines now that sell for like thousands because they're still sealed with like fossil packs and stuff in them, it's just crazy to think that they were like
Don't even.
They were giving them away in like 1999.
We should have all known. We absolutely should have all known that this would have happened, but none of us did. That's the. I mean, I'm sure some people, obviously, some people did. There's first edition boxes still floating about, but as kids, you just need to. Kids of today, if you like it now and it's been traded in playgrounds, just make sure you keep some. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Oh well, that's the problem with being a kid, isn't it? So you just don't.
For sure. Oh, I enjoyed every moment of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said on the last podcast, like I opened stuff in like 2014 that's worth thousands now, but at the time it was the cheapest thing around. Crazy to think that, like, well, I used to open like Flashfire packs like they were going out of fashion because they were like £4 each, and then I sold all the loose cards because I needed some money, but I didn't have anything incredible, so it's not so bad.
No, I mean, yeah, around that period as well when there were still collectors about. If you sold anything, then you're going to feel hard done by if you look at the market now. So it's just mad at the moment.
Because that was the thing, right? Like stuff that I sold in 2016 was the same price up until about 2019, and then it just rocketed up. So like,
easily,
I didn't feel bad about it for 2 years, and then suddenly it was worth loads. It's always the way, isn't it? Same with like crypto and that kind of thing. As people always say that they should have bought in earlier, but then they didn't. So what are you gonna do?
This is the hard lesson in FOMO, but actually it makes the next one a bit easier. The next thing you miss makes it a bit easier, but oh well.
Yeah. I have I well, I was into Yu-Gi-Oh cards first, and I was I would have been like 7 or 8 years old when they first came out in the UK, and I think I still have some pretty old ones somewhere in my parents' house. I don't know where they are, but hopefully I could find them one day. Buying theme decks from Toys R Us at like 7 years old, just think it was the best thing ever.
I mean, it was. I was. It's funny you mentioned that because I think Pokemon at the time it came out for the first few years was absolutely front and center. But by the time I was in, I guess the middle of secondary school, I think it was like 2003 that Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, at least for me, 2003, 2004, it became big. But I went in hard on Yu-Gi-Oh. I was, I tried the tournaments out and everything. I got beat every time, but my sort of the most of my teams, let's say, that was Yu-Gi-Oh focused, and I think that's where my, I still had some Pokemon cards, but I didn't have the focus on, I want to buy these ones anymore. Like I just the odd pack I might get, but it was Yu-Gi-Oh for a good decade in the middle, just because I just felt like there was more strategy involved and more, it was more adult, even though it's still just a kid's card game. But hey.
I think that's why I liked it so much, because obviously I'd heard of Pokemon, and my sister had some cards because she's 10 years older than me, so she would have been like a teenager when Pokemon came out in the UK. And I just like Yu-Gi-Oh because it was so different. But then I collected it for a little bit and then dropped out after a few years, and I collected football stickers instead. So I used to really like football as a kid, so I used to go to the shops and buy a few packs when I could afford it.
The Merlin ones, or had it become Panini by then?
I used to buy like Shootout and Match Attacks, stuff like that.
So Match Attacks were cards, weren't they? I remember getting some of those and thinking, this is... Yeah, for me, like 96, 97, I just remember sticker books, Merlin sticker books, and they had the most garish foil covers. But that was what really introduced a lot of school kids into the whole idea of collecting things like that. I think Pogs and stuff like that had come before, which thanks to you and your other half, I've now been searching on eBay trying to relive. But I
think my sister still has her Pog collection. She was really into Pogs. She has like thousands of them.
It's
one of those things where like Pogs never got more expensive, and it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, what if Pokemon just never gained in value, like it did?
Yeah, so it was one of those things. So one of the ridiculous things I've done is that kind of Wikipedia rabbit hole, and Pogs definitely came up in one of them a good 4 or 5 years ago, and I remember it being something along the lines of the guy who either started it or owned the rights to the Pogs brand just didn't care who made Pogs. So whereas Pokemon cards, I mean, they even did the whole thing of taking it from Wizards of the Coast, once they realized it got popular. A lot of these collectibles, they kind of have the intellectual property and they're very much in control. This person or these people, I think it was one person, absolutely just went free range and said, look, to any brand, if you want it, you can have it. If you want it, just pay me the license fee or whatever structure it would have been. And that's why there's just so many about, and it lost its kind of exclusivity to some extent. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of see what they were trying to get with it. We've got the McDonald's promos. They do one a year at best for Pokemon, and everyone rushes to them. So imagine that, but if Burger King was doing it, and I don't know, Nando's had their own promotion, you'd kind of think, oh well, I don't know which one I want or which one I care for, and you've just lost all that exclusivity. But I think Pogs definitely was a bit of a, for the person who owned the rights at the time, was definitely a bit of a cash grab, and then they were just like, that's it, I want to the next thing.
Because Pokemon, like you said, are excellent at like just protecting their IP. Like if you look at what happened in sports in like the early well, sort of late 80s, kind of mid to early 90s, there was a situation where like they were printing so many cards that now they're just worth nothing. So that's the junk wax era of sports, and they would literally just do what they did with Pogs, where you'd have Topps, Panini, like company called Bowman used to print them as well, and there was like 3 or 4 other companies, and they would just print cards like surplus to demand. So they would just print them until they literally sat on shelves for like months and months and months, and then they discontinue them. And we're now in a situation where they're just worth nothing because there's thousands and thousands of them. Even the high-end ones aren't worth very much.
I mean, even now, like, so I remember in like 2010, 2008 to 2010, sorry. I used to try and collect the match tax cards, but even now I get a bit confused. I've looked back at football cards in the UK at least, and I'm sure there's like 3 different types at the moment. Match tax is still around. Then you've got this adrenaline something or other.
Yeah, that's the
and
Panini
then
one.
there's this then there's this like best of, like, it's UEFA branded or FIFA branded or something, and I'm just like, is that like a subset of one of these other ones, or is it not? And you've kind of got these different streams. You have the European game, you have the world game, you have your local, your sort of domestic league, but then you've got international, and so it's almost open to having, well, hey, Panini, you can do the Premier League's one because the Premier League is selling their rights to that one, and Topps, hey, why don't you do the FIFA World Cup one? And you just, I wouldn't know where to look. It just takes so much, it's too much research to feel like you're even slightly aware of what's going on with football cards in the UK at least. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure someone else, like perhaps you, because I think you mentioned your sport cards is still very much up there. It might seem quite simple, but in the same way that we understand Pokemon and the holiday sets, and the 3.5s and the 4s. Now, actually, this isn't even part of a normal set. This is just an extra VMAX collection or something. We get it now, and it seems simple, but to someone joining, they must go, "What the hell is all of this?"
Yeah, so like the thing with Pokemon is that Pokemon are very transparent. Like, because there's no licensing issues, they basically just say the Pokemon that are in this set are these. The Pokemon that you want to be in sets will probably be in one in the future. Whereas, because of the licensing with sports, you end up in a situation where... So I collected Match Attacks this year. I completed the whole set.
Nice.
Which was very fun, and it's refreshingly cheap compared to Pokemon. But they're in a situation where they have licensing, so Topps have the Champions League and the UEFA Europa League, but they didn't have all of the teams. So they published the set, but they didn't have like Arsenal and Juventus and some other teams, and it's just it was very confusing collecting it, just because like half the teams that you expect to be in there aren't in there, and then they released them in subsequent updates. So like,
I mean, I could make a joke about Arsenal, and it's fine that no one needs that team, but
oh yeah, well, my brother-in-law is like a diehard Arsenal fan, so.
All my in-laws are very much Tottenham, so I feel like when it comes to London, I have to somehow align myself to them. But hey,
yeah. But about the Topps release like multiple sets a year, so they Match Attacks is their like flagship early season one, and then they released an update set which is called Match Attacks Extra, and then they released another set called 101, which is like, they're basically like, the Match Attacks is start of the season, Extra is January update, and then 101 is like end of the season. And so if you want to collect them all, you have to collect 3 sets a season, and that doesn't include any of their like premium products like Topps Chrome, or they do a Champions League one, then they do like Champions League Chrome, and there's just so much to collect. Like, if you want to collect them all, it's going to cost you thousands and thousands. And now, because the demand for the like premium sets is so high, they're just almost impossible to get. It's a bit of a nightmare sports at the moment.
I blame America. Everything seems to follow on from American crazes. Just everyone goes, "Oh, is that what's getting big? We'll do it over here as well." But
yeah. Yeah, I feel like at some point I should get someone on who actually collects sports cards, and because I'm relatively knowledgeable about the sports cards, like kind of like goings on, but I don't collect any of them, so I have no real like stake in it, so I don't have any strong feelings either way. It's just like, imagine the demand for Pokemon and then kind of times it by 10.
Oh, you think it's like that? I mean, I
It's
should take a closer look then, eh?
it's like what we're experiencing in Pokemon has been going on in sports for like a couple of years. But sports has also got way worse recently. So like the whole queuing outside of shops to get Pokemon cards is relatively new for us, but in sports that's just the way it is. Like sports have an established, like, well, in America they have MSRP, which is, you know, obviously what they recommend to sell it at, but then everything just has instantly a resale price, and sometimes it can be like 4 or 5 times what the MSRP is, depending on the product. It's just stupid. It's like you can't buy anything at retail in America unless you're a huge like shop, and even they struggle.
I think this is something about the age of the fan base. They you know, a lot of people quite rightly talk about what's caused the current, well, hopefully we're on the downside of it, but the current boom in Pokemon. And yes, partly it's lockdown and people need something to, you know, interest them and things like that. But actually, it's the age of the nostalgia. You know, the fans are now, of the earlier generations at least, are now at the point where they've got the money and they look like, well, I can buy all these things that I wanted as a kid, and why the hell not? Whereas with sports, that age diversity, that money all exists because the fan base is just so much wider in terms of age. You've got people in their 50s and 60s that would happily drop a lot of money because that's what they've worked for over their time, going, well, I love football or I love baseball or basketball, whatever it may be in America at least. And I mean, yeah, we think Pokemon's big as a fan base, but sport is, you couldn't go to many places and not find a sports fan. You know, I'm sure you can do that. You could do that with Pokemon if you really tried.
Yeah, isn't like you look at the PSA backlog. It's like there's a reason that sports has 2 categories and TCG as a whole only has 1. Like, there's so many sports cards being submitted to grading companies, not even just PSA. Like Beckett's really big on sports as well, always has been, because you can get that, like, the differential subgrades that just push your card above someone else's. Like I know there's a lot of sports people who don't like PSA because you have that variance in your grade, whereas like with Beckett, for the most part, like if something has good subgrades or better subgrades than something else, you know it's better. But then there's new companies, so there's like this HGA company, and they like introduced AI grading as like part of their thing before PSA mentioned that they did. And HGA have custom labels, so you can match it to like the card's team color or the actual card's color, which is pretty cool. And that's like exclusively designed at sports to make more aesthetic slabs for sports fans. So there's so much out there for sports people. Just unfortunately, they can't get any of the product to actually grade for the most part.
Damn.
But yeah, speaking about stores, obviously you run
For
Card Bazaar.
I do.
Um, so my first question is, how did you come up with your name? It's always usually a good story about the name.
How did I come up with my name? Well, like most people, I've had a lot of time on my hands during lockdown, or the lockdowns in the UK. My wife, in it, or I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but her work means that she's out of the house still. She's, you know, still in person, going out there doing her thing. Whereas I've been very much sat at a screen in a little room in the corner of our home. And I guess I went through a lot of names. I just, something that felt different. I didn't want to go for pure alliteration and things like that, but like, I don't know, the amount of A's in the, well, my name starts with an A. I think I just had an affinity with the amount of A's that were in the name, and I had a few names, and then I think I mentioned to you before, but I'm not a very graphically creative person. So when it came to, you know, I threw a few name ideas out to a friend of mine who pulled together some logo ideas, and I was just drawn to the way that my friend used the A's, and I just kind of went, yep, that's it for me. I think I went into this thinking, hey, I want to give this a real try, because I have done this before back in the sort of the mid 2010s, so around 2015, 2016, I was selling cards through eBay rather than just a web store in this case. But and I was like, I'm ready to give this a real try. I've always wanted to do it. Part of it's like, hey, I'm going to fund my cardboard, but a lot of it's just down to it's just been a thing in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to try. And yeah, I kind of went Card Bazaar. That sounds quite different. I didn't really think of how well it would last. I did think it was quite a hard word for people to A, spell, and B, pronounce if they're not native. But I kind of thought, well, I'm in the UK. Hopefully that works. And hey, if it really is a problem, I can change it later. So yeah, I really like it. But I would say that, wouldn't I? And thankfully, it's not been too difficult. Uh, Although I do feel like the spelling sometimes some people do two Z's, some people do two A's, or just one A, and so I may need to rethink that at some point in the future.
Yeah, like I had a rebrand. I mean, it's not the same because I don't run a business really, but like I had a rebrand recently, and it's an absolute nightmare finding something that you like. Because you go into it and you're like, you know what, I'll just be happy with anything, as you know, as long I've got the name, just a picture will do, and then you get increasingly more and more like picky about what you actually want to be.
Oh,
Things like,
you kind of. Oh, sorry.
I know I just say because I designed some business cards recently, and I made them myself, and I'm like, I'm no graphic genius, but like I do the best I can, and I probably spent about 6 hours just like editing fonts and moving things by like 2 pixels left and right. Eventually, it was like, you know what, this is fine.
Yeah, it's something I learned over the last few years, which is, and from different parts of my life. For example, I meant I don't know if I mentioned as part of the podcast or before, but part of the reason I stopped selling when I originally started in 2014 into 15 um, was because I moved home, and I bought a home, and something that made me realize something I realized from that was the first time doesn't have to be perfect. You know, at the end of the day, when it comes to selling in this sort of context, it was very much I knew what I needed to focus on was making sure that A, people had the products, and B, there was customer service there. No one really cares what the name is as long as they can trust what you're doing and what who you are and what you provide them. Um, and the more you and I'm very much like you on this one. I kind of went, oh well, what does it mean for the future in 5 years' time? What can I do? If am I just restricted to cards? The whole thing of I knew that I was starting with Pokemon. I knew that I was starting with Pokemon because that's where I was most knowledgeable. I'd come back to Yu-Gi-Oh, knowing I liked Yu-Gi-Oh, but um, I mean, if we think back between base set and now on Pokemon, there has been a lot of change. The Mega Evolutions, and then there's the V's and the V Maxes and all that. So from a playing perspective, there has been a shift, and I kind of jumped back into the TCGO just to teach myself again. I mean, I played competitively when there was just the regular evolutions, um, and to me it was like, oh wow, there's a whole change here. So I knew I wanted to start with Pokemon, but I didn't want the company just to be about Pokemon. And I thought, well, do I want it just to be about cards? And then you kind of you go down this rabbit hole, and you can absolutely get lost. But actually think about what's important here. What you're selling, and it's not just the card you're selling, it's the service as well. Names can change, rebrands happen left, right, and center. Don't try and make things absolutely perfect on that side. Just get to market and do what you're good at, which is, or hopefully what you're good at, which is interacting and providing a service.
I think
The
that's
rest can come later.
I think that's generally good advice for most things in life. Just, it's not about how long the journey takes you, as long as you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, sorry, and I realised I half started an analogy. The whole thing about the home was we were spending so long not trying, not making the move because we're like, oh, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, and we're now 5 years down the line. We kind of went, actually we've made it what we want it to be. This isn't the final step. This is just the first step. We're in somewhere. We've made it our home, and we know what we want now. We know how we want to evolve, rather than assuming how we want to evolve right at the start. Because what happens is you think you've made it perfect. You spent a year of your life trying to create this brand, and then half a year later something changes, and you kind of go, actually, I really wish I went down this route now. You need to not to use a phrase that I use too much at my day job, but you need to be agile about these things, and getting there quickly helps you learn as much about yourself as you do about your customers.
I think especially in any kind of collecting these days, it's all about being like you said, agile, and just like being able to react to changes that are going on. Like, I was quite quickly priced out of the things that I immediately wanted in Pokemon, so I just went for something else that I thought was cool. And like, so my day job, well, I'm a PhD student, and I do chemical synthesis as my job, basically.
Oh damn!
So my entire job,
outsmarted by a degree of about 50 here.
But like my entire job basically is just about failing consistently until you get it right. So dealing with things not working the first time, or just like having to reroute your way around a problem is kind of what I do. So like I mean, obviously it's frustrating when things don't go well, but like because my entire like PhD has been so much of oh, this doesn't work, what can I do to get around it? I'm more willing to adapt to like other aspects of my life. So I recently was like, what can I collect that's cool, that doesn't cost a lot? So I bought all of the ancient trait cards from Roaring Skies, Primal Clash, and Ancient Origins. So I've got all those in a binder now, and they're like, I think they're really cool. But they didn't. I think in total it probably cost me less than £50 for all of them.
So good. That is so good.
The goddamn Gyarados that's like £15. It's more than most of them combined.
Yeah, I remember it. One of the regrets I have from stopping back in, I think it was 2016 that I stopped selling, was not keeping as much as I almost got to a point where I'd stopped collecting as much, because I thought to myself, well, it's better that I sell this now, and that's not something I went into it all for. At the end of the day, the main thing was about, it was a passion of mine. I collect. I still do collect, and I just wanted a way to maybe think, justify my own obsession by going, well, hey, I'm selling some, keeping some, selling some, keeping some, and I loved the Primal Clash sort of part of those, where the Japanese had the English words, and the English had the Japanese words on those megas and the EXs and stuff. I wish I'd kept more of those. I think I've got some, but they're just. And the other thing is, I never had grading. I still don't have grading in my mind, but I was very much just like a kid, just get a binder and chuck it in there. I don't even think I use sleeves. I've got them, and they're absolutely not gradable, because they're going to get 7s or 8s at best, because just how I kept them. Because in my mind it was, oh, I like that card, it's going in the binder, but I'm not here to preserve it. I'm here to just have it. And I do regret not being a bit more careful, shall we say, because there's a lot of things that I let go thinking, oh, I'll get some more down the line, but never quite did. So yeah, I'm glad you kept them.
The one thing that I've realised, that obviously with grading now taking so long and it being expensive and PSA being closed, I've become a lot more like conscious of like collecting in the present rather than sending something off to PSA and getting it back in a year. So like I'm quite enjoying now. I have a binder that's just full of ultra rare cards, all the way from like black and white through to now. I don't have all of them, because not a millionaire.
It's a bit much, yeah.
But like, it just basically every single one of them in there I've either packed or bought like cheap over the years, and like most of them aren't gradable, but that's totally fine. But it's cool. Like I opened some Roaring Skies packs the other day, just a couple, and I got the Rayquaza EX and the Mega Rayquaza within about 3 packs.
That's incredible.
And
were packs you were sitting on, or packs you managed to buy
I bought
recently?
some blisters from Chaos Cards, and they were supposed to be two burning shadows in the picture, and when they came, it was Roaring Skies and Crimson Invasion.
Oh wow!
So I opened a few of those.
You must have been thinking, "Damn, there's my Zard chance gone." But actually, this seems much more fun.
Well, the Mega Rayquaza, the gold one in Roaring Skies, is worth a comparable amount. Not the rainbow, but like the full art one.
No, for sure. That's what I mean. I
Yeah.
think it's a cooler Pokemon anyway. I'm not. I don't get the Zard hype. But I won't say much more on that one. Otherwise,
No,
there's people knocking at my door.
I remember I opened a pack of Burning Shadows, and I got a rainbow, and it was a Galissapod, and I was I was just so disappointed.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, I went from a £600 Charizard to like a £6
Yeah,
Galissapod.
I guess if you're chasing, you're chasing. Yeah, I can see that. But I just
Yeah, well,
every set that has one that is obsessive. I get if like there was a Zard here and there was like that's the one, but you can literally just put CAR and everyone's just jumping on a set. That's it.
yeah,
CHR. Damn.
I I don't I don't really collect Charizards particularly. I like they're cool and everything, but I just think I'd rather have more cards of a lower value than one huge Charizard.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. So you were saying,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, carry on with what you said.
No, I was gonna say I fully intend to do the grading thing for the collection, but I've got these cards. I found a stack of old cards. I've got the stuff in the binders, and I'm like, right, in 3 years' time, when no one cares again, I'll just send them all off because I've learned how cool it is to have a slab. Like I've now held one, now seen them. I just don't remember them being a thing. Like at least they weren't. Even as a seller, I never really saw them even in the mid 2010s. I just kind of it seems like a phenomenon that I'm seeing them everywhere since coming back to it in sort of, I don't know, summer of 2020. So, but yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, because well, obviously when grading took off, there was such a hype about grading cards. I feel like a lot of people now have gone back to the traditional like binder sets, trying to complete like
Yeah,
full sets. Yeah, completed my Steam Siege Master set a month ago. That was fun.
I mean, that's clear. That's the one to go for. The ones that no one seems to care for, just focus on those for a bit, because the ones people do care for, in a couple of years, you'll pick it up for pennies.
Yeah.
It's always been the way. I remember with XY, everyone was after the primal. Everyone, same like me. Everyone was after the. Is that what you? So I didn't know they were called ancient. Is that what you're calling ancient traits, where it's the really ridiculous, colourful full arts? Half.
Oh no, the ancient trait ones, like the three-quarter art ones.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. So, but everyone went mad for these certain things, and then I remember looking in 2018, and I was like, oh, you can pick them up for pennies again. Like I just that's where I learned. I was like, I'm just not going to chase in the moment anymore. If I have something that I don't pack myself, there's the odd thing I might just go, I need it now. But anything that anything that goes over, I don't know, £70 raw, I'll just wait. I'm just going to wait it out. Because at some point someone's going to bought up loads and realize no one's going to buy them from them. But hey,
Yeah, that's what happened with the full art trainers, wasn't it? It's like they all skyrocketed and then are just like gradually dropping back down in price. Well, for the most part, some of them are staying really high, but you know.
no, it will be for a little longer. I think this boom will hang around for a bit longer, but yeah, sensible, rational thinking will come back soon.
Yeah. Oh, let's hope so. Yeah, you said that you started your store. You started at the start of this year, right? Officially.
Yeah, so I launched, and so part of the reason was I had the idea through most of lockdown one, and then I got sidetracked by the idea of what am I going to do with it, set up a business. I was really going for it, and I just realized that I was essentially procrastinating. That's essentially what I was doing. So I code for my day job. Web development isn't necessarily my key thing, but I know I can make the website. Part of me was like, oh, I've got all these cards, I could just go back to eBay. But with all the time I had, I was like, oh, I'm not giving the 15 to 20% on every little thing I sell. Like, it's ridiculous. and I just took too long, and then it was only around, yeah, I remember the sort of the Christmas break where I was at home and I wasn't even working from home because you had all this leave to take up, that I just started clearing out the loft, and I found so many of the old boxes that I hadn't sold from before, and found a lot of sealed stuff from. I mean, I think you maybe have seen it. A few people have now seen it. I've got a few um, Wizards packs sealed because as a kid, I think my dad convinced me. My dad didn't understand what the hell we were doing buying these pieces of cardboard. I mean, he allowed it eventually. He was just like, okay, fine, you really like it, no problem, but keeps them sealed. It'll be worth something in the future. I think he'd seen the whole Star Wars thing happen. People keeping things sealed, and then 20 years later, it was, you know, worth God knows how much. And he was like, "This to me, looking at my children right now, this to me looks like what Star Wars was back then. So just keeps them sealed." And I did, and I remember actually selling a few. I mean, we're talking. I had booster boxes of Rocket, Team Rocket, and Jungle and stuff from when Pokemon first died a death in terms of popularity, in like the like 2002, I think. I just bought them up. They were like 50p to £1 per pack each. Me and my brother just absolutely ripped them open, but my dad was like, keep some to the side, and I sold some of those in 2016 for like £20 each. I now look and they're just. I think I was asking a few people the other day, well, how much do you think these are worth? And they're like, yeah, £300 if it's this, and that one's in a blister, that could be worth a bit more. And I just that there's that FOMO again. I was like, why did I even do it in 2016? Because I sold some of these thinking, oh, that's the most they're ever going to make. No one's going to care about them anymore. If I only had held on for another 5 years.
Yeah,
But
it's just no way of knowing, is there?
but yeah, so I came back, and so I found all of those around Christmas, and I was like, you know what, I need to make this happen. I keep telling myself I'm going to do it, and so in very early in the new year, I sort of went live. I was very quiet about it. I'd already spoken to distributors, reopened accounts that. So a lot of distributors had stopped allowing Pokemon accounts or Pokemon owned, or at least buy. You can open an account if you've got a limited company, which I had, and but you couldn't buy Pokemon. So Asmodee, the main distributor, was very much one of them. And so even to this day, I don't get my Pokemon stock from Asmodee because of my just procrastinating, because I'd started the conversation with them back in August 2020, but I only really got back to them in December, and by that which point they said, oh no, we're not selling any Pokemon to any new customers. I was like, okay, well, I like Yu-Gi-Oh. I was going to do Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm working with them, and I still get all I still hear from them, and that my account handler is very good with it all, and there's some other changes which I'm sure many people are aware of, and I can talk about them in a moment. But yeah, I had other distributors that I'd worked with back in 2015-16 who had done the same thing, but actually because I had that history with them, and through a bit of convincing, I said, look, I am, this is me. I did it before, and this is what I've set up, and I made the website. And they wanted to see the website first. They wanted to make sure the payments worked and make sure I was legit before, and so that kind of held me back as well. And eventually, I managed to go live at the start of the year, but it has been incredibly slow compared to what I expected, purely because of the stock issue, and because I'm trying not to like. There's a lot of TCGs out there, and there's a lot of hype around a lot of new ones, and in my impatience kind of sidetracked me and goes, oh, let me try this one out, let me try that one out. But then over the last month or so, I've regained that singular focus of, let me make sure Pokemon and maybe Yu-Gi-Oh go well first before I try and branch out, because otherwise you spread yourself thin with no focus on who you're talking to, what you're talking about. And my strong suit is absolutely Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. That's what I know everything about, and that's where I'm going to focus. And yeah, that's where we're at right now. But I had a very tough battle styles allocation, and Shining Fates was almost nothing. I knew I was late to that pre-order because of how long it took me to get my account set up, but I didn't expect anything quite like what had occurred. with these waves upon waves of tiny allocations.
Yeah. Have you? So you say about the waves, just purely from curiosity point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So have you got like more in the works coming, or?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Because we were told there was like
if I don't, yeah, so Chilling Reign coming out soon. I got the day orders opened, my order was in. That doesn't guarantee anything. No one can guarantee anything. The difference between this release, Chilling Reign, I speak purely from a Pokemon side. I don't think the supply issues are just about hitting Magic for anyone that's a Magic fan. There's two big releases in a couple of months that they're delaying ever so slightly because they're slowly feeling the production strain. But Pokemon's the only thing that's going through this real issue right now. Digimon feels like it is because, but that's because they just didn't create enough, thinking it's a new release. We're not gonna go all in on it. But yeah, this is the first time that Asmodee, the official UK distributor, has been cautious in its own right. So before it was, this is the new release that's coming out. Tell us how much you want. We'll put it on order. They still work on a very much they work on a first come first serve basis, but where less stock comes in to their warehouses, I mean they're getting less information than ever in terms of delivery dates to them, the number that they're expecting to receive, and that's trickling through. So the confusion that's come around from Shining Fates and Battle Styles is not 100% on Magic Madhouse and Chaos and the big, what I refer to at least as the big guys. The way they've handled it is something to get mad at them about, but the lack of information it's very hard to blame the sellers for. But in the same respect, it's very hard to blame the distributors for. We're at a point where just no one knows anymore. We don't know. There's so many points at which the supply can get hindered, whether it's the shutdown in American factories, to the issues with Brexit and the customs borders, even though it's not coming from the EU, it's just border checks in general are now ridiculous. The prioritization of, so COVID causing prioritization of shipping routes, meaning that stuff is actually on our shores, but they literally won't release it because it's more important to get PPE, absolutely more important to get PPE and vaccinations and all that through. It's impossible to guess anything anymore. Pokemon can't tell you because it's not in their control. Distributors can't tell you because it's not in their control, and certainly sellers can't tell you. But what sellers can control is the way they treat you, the way they treat you with your pre-orders, and the way that they treat you with the very little stock they do get in. And I mean, I'm not here to comment on scalpers versus all that stuff, but there has been some very scalpish behaviour within a lot of car stores, which is, I feel, rightly left a bitter taste in a lot of collectors' mouths. A quid extra here and there. I mean, I the very little I did get of Shining Fates, I think I had to put, well, I didn't have to do anything, but I put for about £1 or two more, because my unit cost was so much higher because of the delivery involved, and making a small order tends to involve higher costs generally. So to ensure that I made any kind of a margin, given that a lot of my orders go out on free delivery, I just had to. But you've got some very big, and I know these places have had very big allocations, but, and I'm not here to bash them, but when you put Hidden Fates up for 90 quid or Shining Fates up for 90 quid, the ETBs, sorry, when you know full well that you've got the best allocation out of the lot, out of most, that's not fun for anyone really. But hey, that's what's happened, and I don't expect it to return anytime soon, hopefully, because Asmodee have been a lot more clear about limits. That's why a lot of places haven't opened up pre-orders. Asmodee have given very small, strict limits on pre-orders for these new products for Chilling Reign, and that's going to limit what people take on as pre-orders.
Yeah, I've seen that lots of companies have, they've quite clearly said that they're not giving their pre-orders until they've got definite numbers, which is it's a step in the right direction, I think, because especially with Shining Fates, a lot of people made these like very early pre-orders. I mean, last year you had to pre-order stuff 4 months before release, and like there's just no way that like roughly when do you get your allocation numbers? Is it about a month before release, or even later?
Absolutely historically. So we're talking when I sold in the X and Y era predominantly. I would know. I put an order in, and I would know easily a month before, maybe 3 weeks before at worst, what I was expected to get, because the distributors knew what they were getting, and also with the numbers I was buying in, the allocation didn't exist. There was nothing got taken down. We're now at the point where I'd say 2 weeks is a blessing. More likely, you find out the week of delivery. Oh, okay, no, so I might find out, and this is from Asmodee. So this is based off other cards I buy off Asmodee. So the secondary distributors I work with, it's always going to be a bit less time, because they find out from really it's all still funneling through Asmodee to some extent. I feel I'm not 100% sure of how it works, but Asmodee on other products I've worked with them on recently, I found out. Let's say we have a release on a Friday. The Wednesday before, I find out how much I get. So Ghost of the Past, for example, I found out what my allocation was for that. Didn't get anywhere near what I ordered, but I still got a good amount, which is where I can see the difference between Yu-Gi-Oh and the others, and Pokemon. So I make that, I put my money down. I get my order. I might get it on the Friday. In this case, I got it the Monday after. So I've literally got 3 or 4 days to really get everything ready. So there's just no time. I don't do pre-orders, partly because I don't know what stock I'm getting, but also I don't want to deal with the fallout right now. Like people speak to me and I say, look, if things come in, don't worry, I'll make sure you're up the list. And generally, I can tell if I've interacted with people or they've bought from me before, or rather than saying to people, oh, I know you're just going to resell it, kind of thing. But I make no promises, and you can see a lot of, certainly the smaller web stores are doing that, but also the big web stores are doing that now. But yeah, I don't, even the big web stores, I imagine they're not going to find out at the very least. I mean, we're a month away, 5 weeks away from Chilling Reign. 18th it comes out, and we're on the 11th now. I don't think by the end of May we're going to know what we're expecting yet. I reckon it will be 9th or 10th of June before we collectively know. And the beauty of it all is we're in this information age. I'm about 5 years late there. We all know at the same time. Someone's going to know. Someone's going to tell someone, and it becomes a tweet, and we all know. So yeah, don't expect anything until mid-June on Chilling Reign.
Yeah, because Chaos Cards on their website, I don't know about other websites, but I think there's this 6th of June, and I've been buying with them for years, and that's the latest I've ever seen them put pre-orders up.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they even let that creep further. But again, who knows? I think part of the issue that we faced recently is the double whammy of Shining Fates straight into Battle Styles. I think Shining Fates was delayed, wasn't it? It wasn't meant. Was it always meant to be a February then a March release? I don't. I can't remember.
I remember we got told that we only got 6% in the UK. But I think there might have been I don't know. I think it was end of Feb originally, but there was such little product on that day that it basically was delayed 2 weeks.
Yes, no, as in, well, so Shining Fates, the release date was the 19th of February. I remember that. And then literally 4 weeks to the day, the 19th of March was Battle Styles release day.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I mean, when I look back, I mean, I wasn't around for the Sun and Moon era, but like Hidden Fates into, what was the final set? Cosmic Eclipse. I can't remember what came straight after Hidden Fates. Yeah, it was Hidden Fates into Cosmic Eclipse. I think there was more of a gap, and so we felt we've borne the brunt of two poorly supplied things, and we saw like in late February they made the tough decision to cancel a lot of reprints that they were going to do. So they've got through this Hidden Fates reprint that they promised us, and it's been great. It's been really. I don't know about you. I mean, sorry, it's not been great because there's still so little about. But it's been nice to have that reprint. But they were going to do Cosmic Eclipse next, and they just went until we've sorted this out. We're not going to do any reprints. We're done. They're not going to do they're not going to do another run of like Darkness Ablaze. I think the last bit of Darkness Ablaze is coming out now ish. They're expecting to do more Vivid Voltage. They're not even going to bother doing that. So I don't know where our hopes for a Cosmic Eclipse reprint lies, but
Well,
I think they're going to study their shit.
I heard rumors. Well, I say I heard rumors. It was a few rumors yesterday about a Shining Legends reprint.
Yeah.
Which
I think I saw that late last night.
Like I just wanted to get your
radio.
Yeah, it's from a French Twitter page. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it because realistically, I don't think it's going to happen. But like, do you think there's any chance at all?
It doesn't match up to anything I've heard in the last 3 months, and we're talking every. So the first announcement that came out, I remember it being around the turning point between February and March, was when they officially cancelled the already listed Cosmic Eclipse. So that was something that was like they'd already told the distributor it's coming, and they said no more. Not too long after that, 3 or 4 weeks after, so just after Battle Styles came out, they then came out with a list and said, also, here's all the Sword and Shield things that we're discontinuing for now. It was always this for now. It's not like they just go, it's not on our print runs, planned print runs. That's it. They're not saying that they won't ever go back to it. They're just saying our focus is now on Chilling Reign, which to me is great. It means that I'd like to expect a less tumultuous release, but who knows? No one knows. But yeah, so for Shining Legends to be coming out, I don't doubt that it's not on Pokemon's radar to think, okay, well, we still need to have ideas of what we're going to, release in the future. But I certainly don't see it in 2021. Not with an apparent 25th anniversary celebration set, on in the works. I don't know if that's just a fan made. I don't know if Pokemon have even alluded to it. I don't know if that's just us expecting one because we had Generations. But yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, you could take anyone's view. I'm a nobody in the grand scheme of things, but I wouldn't hold my breath on Shining Legend. At least this year.
Well, you're a lot better connected than most people in terms of like distributors and stuff. But I saw it and I saw the list of the products being reprinted, and like the ETB made sense, right? Because well, with Hidden Fates, everyone wanted the ETB. Shining Legends ETBs were easy to get for years, but people just didn't care, and now they're like £500 each.
And then how the Ho-Oh, is that where you got the Ho-Oh from?
I opened one back in like 2017. When they were released, and it was like £38, I think. Like Pokemon was well below retail for many years. But then they also announced that they were going to reprint. Well, in this video, Pokemon have announced nothing. It's worth saying. In this video, it rumored that they were going to do the Rainbow Ho-Oh box that comes with the Shining Lugia and Celebi. Which they've never reprinted a collection box ever. I don't think
that'd be game changing. I don't know who wouldn't want that.
And then
in the current scene,
and then also the lunchbox tin.
That one made me laugh when I did see that, because they said, all the other things, the pin boxes won't be made, and I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
For the lunchbox of all things, like it will be a lunch. They might. The likelihood is that they talked about how this will be a reprint. This isn't just leftover stock. I guarantee you there is leftover lunch tins. They've got these tins that are like, we need to use this design or it's all going to the scrap heap. So fine, they might reprint, but what are they? I don't think they're going to put just Shining Legends in there. I think they're just going to mix it up a bit. Maybe they'll do some Shining Legend reprint, but it'll be like 2 Shining Legend and 3 random other, you know, get rid of some of the base sets that no one seems to want. Sort of Sun and Moon base or Sword and Shield base that they seem to fill everything with. Yeah, I wouldn't expect those things to have the same packs in them.
They just
It would still be a. I mean, I made the mistake of, as a new seller or a returning seller, but a new seller to this current market, of going, oh, I'll just buy anything Pokemon. So I've got tons of the Pokeballs and the V tins, and no one wants them because they're full of rubbish. I mean, I like them. I've pulled some very. I've got like a full out Marnie. I opened one yesterday thinking no one's going to buy them. I'll just have one to myself, and I got a full out Marnie, which was pretty cool, and it just made me realize. A bit like what you've done with Steam Siege, like, why don't I just focus on these smaller sets or these less attractive sets?
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, there's also just for no need for Pokemon to stuff their products with Shining Legends if they do a reprint, because like you could put one Shining Legends pack in there and they'd fly off the shelves.
That's exactly it. And
because it's what
we have to remember that the Pokemon Company is probably it's probably the most valuable IP worldwide. I don't know. Disney probably has something or other somewhere, but I feel like they're marketing geniuses. They what they do best is moving things that no one thinks they need, or no people think they need, but they don't actually need, and they'll find ways of making us buy this stuff that they printed in the sort of the dark era of it all. You know, where no one was, you know, where stock stayed on shelves for at least 9 months before it was finally cleared by someone. They have lots of it. They absolutely do have lots of it, and they'll just start getting out there. They've realised what's going to drag us, cause us to buy those. God knows why Evolutions did what Evolutions did, but by God, did it sell a load of Pokeballs?
Yeah.
Like they just went, oh great, that's how we're going to get rid of them. Give it's. My girlfriend said her parents always used to say, like, to feed her vegetables, it was they'd give her vegetables, but then give her like a Yorkshire pudding with it or something. It'd be like something you like with something you don't like, and that's exactly what Pokemon are doing to us. It's something you like with something you don't like. You're going to get it either way, and you're going to pay for the thing that you don't want, just because you want the thing that it's the only way you're going to get the other thing you do want. I, credit to them, and they'll continue to do that to us. But we can't hate. Yeah, the shortage is a funny one as well. I've talked a lot about the production issues, sorry, the supply issues and the manufacturing issues, but I mean it is absolutely people like me popping up, and the term bedroom seller, which I am a bedroom seller as far as I'm concerned. I know there's negative connotations to that. I don't intend to be a bedroom seller for very long. Like my intention is then that's where you need to try and work out who you're dealing with here. But I am absolutely, this whole thing is from home. That's I've set this up. It's absolutely legitimate, and I think there's a user on Instagram called pallet_TK, Pallet Town Kent, who there's people out there going, right, well, look, bedroom sellers aren't a bad thing, but here's how to work out if you're dealing with someone that's legitimate and trying versus someone that's here to make a quick buck. But yeah, the spread of this. So part of the reason for allocations is I may ask for 100 boxes of the next release, but if 100 people are asking for 100 boxes of the next release, they're going to go, oh, hey, actually, we can only give you all 3 each. So that is causing an issue on allocations, but there's still the point that there's not enough. You could give all of those to just one store, and they still would sell out within seconds. So it's hard. There's a lack of business knowledge within the current community, which you shouldn't necessarily have, but it has caused a lot of negative sentiment to go towards every seller, and it should be on us, the sellers, to make to counter that with good service. That's the only thing that's going to get it. You know, it's great that people in this community, when they've had a good experience, they are the first to talk about it, and that's a huge credit to the community. Like, no one just goes, "Oh, I bought it and I'm going to keep it to myself." The second you find someone good, you tell someone else about it. You don't just go, "Oh, this is my little hidden secret for Shining Fates," or my little hidden secret for Hidden Fates, even. Um, and so I hear a lot of sellers whining about, privately, but whining about how people perceive them, and, oh, you know, did you see so and so put this video out about? It's like, they're not meant to know. How are they going to know? You know, some people can. I think computers just. Some people are saying how, oh, they're all looking up our information. Well, that's what having a limited company is. The transparency. So, you know, you that's what you signed up for. Um, and yeah, it's on us to make sure that our service does the talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm I have an eBay account, and like I used to sell like a decent volume of stuff on my eBay, and it's just like that is the thing that keeps people coming back to you. Like every time I get an eBay feedback comment from someone that says like the service was good and I'll come back, it's like that's why I put that's why everyone puts the extra effort in, because once someone buys something from you once and they have a good experience, then they will come back, or they'll tell someone about it. And that's why I invited you on, is because I've heard nothing but good things about you, and every time I've spoken to someone and said that you're coming on the podcast, they've said that that you're great at the service that you provide. So I wanted someone.
It makes me sound like I'm some sort of salesman. No, I think some of that comes from genuinely, like, this, and I think I touched on it before. This has all come about as it's my hobby, and I am looking to, in some respects, it's not altruistic or anything. I am looking to make money from my hobby. But that's what, people, you always hear that, oh, I listen to so many podcasts where it's like, find your passion and work off that. Like, I know I can do a bit of the code. I know payments quite well, and I knew I could integrate, my payment service and all that stuff. And I just knew that I could do the business side of it. So I thought to myself, well, what better thing to sell than something that I genuinely enjoy? I genuinely have some knowledge about it. There are people in this community that know so much more about it than I do, but it's been my thing for the entirety of my life. Like, the last 25 years, I'm a bit older than 25, but like the last 25 years has just been Pokemon. Sometimes in the background, but it's always been Pokemon. I mean, my name, well, my shortened name is Ash, and so it was almost like it's like what do they call it, nominative determination. Like, everyone at school would be like, oh, what, like Ash Ketchum or whatever, and it's just always been there. And so I think that's part of what it is. Like, some people here for a quick buck, and whatever, they're going to do it, and they're going to go soon. They're absolutely going to go soon. But you can certainly tell when someone is here for a long time, not a good time. Let's throw that one away. The other way around. But yeah, that's hopefully what comes across. And there are so many sellers I've come across that are like that. On a Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, I'm not here to make huge shouts to everyone, but on a Yu-Gi-Oh side, there's some really passionate sellers. Asta's World is one of them, and there's even people that have found TCGs. Trident Cards is someone that actually has uh, a physical setup now as well, and Cosmic Collectibles. Like, you can tell the people that are interacting, the ones that are genuinely a part of it, rather than just some faceless, nameless. If you want faceless and nameless, go to Chaos, go to Zatu, go to boardgame.co.uk, because they have the best prices. They absolutely, I'll tell you straight away, they have the best prices, because they're the Tesco, they're the Aldi of it. They just sell on volume. They get the volume because they can, and they'll sell on volume. If that's all you want, the cheapest price, go to them. But if you want someone that, like that, yeah. If you're going to be a new seller, you need to make sure that you're not just thinking that you're just a company. No one's going to buy from you if you're just a company. You're there because you're part of the community. You're there because you know what you're saying. There's that personal touch or whatever it might be. And to me, this isn't this. I have my day job. This isn't a job. This is an extension of my passion. This is an extension of what I find fun. Um, and yes, there is elements of burnout that come with it. I know that a couple of weeks ago, there's the constant fighting to make sure I'd had some product coming in, or custom border delays and all that. It does hit you, but then I kind of take a step back and I start watching everyone's YouTube videos, and I kind of go, oh, this is quite fun. You can sometimes forget that you are a fan, um, and remembering that does help you push along with the business side. Who knows? In a year's time, there may be so many sellers that it doesn't make sense for me to keep pushing with this. And I'm ready to accept that. But I genuinely want to make this a thing. Like, I genuinely want to see what I know and love. I mean, love's a strong word, but I do kind of love Pokemon. Become something that I can do, um, as part of my daily day-to-day life. But for now, I'm not quitting the day job because there's no stock to sell.
On the flip side of that, if it was financially viable for you to quit your current job now
Yeah.
and be a Pokemon seller full time, is that something that you would consider doing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be so. For me, viability isn't just the money coming in. Viability is about what I can make this this store. Like, I have lots. I love board games. I don't think I have enough of. I love playing them, but I don't think I have enough of a knowledge of the wide scape of board games, landscape. Sorry, not just scape. Um, to feel like I could sell any of it. But I, if I knew that I could make something bigger of this, like right now, it's I like being able to give. It sounds like I'm gatekeeping it, but I know that my products tend to go to, because I'm small, tend to go to genuine people, genuine collectors. Sorry, and I like that. I will RRP where I have to and try and go low as possible where I can. I'm not here to just, oh, so and so selling it for this much, I'm going to sell it for this much as well because I know I can make it. Like, at the very worst, expect RRP from me, unless I've literally been given 4 boxes of something, and that literally means that the postage charge takes up all my, there are very few situations where that will happen. And but yeah, so on the question of that, if I could build something, absolutely. If I felt like something was building here, and it wouldn't just be Pokemon selling, it wouldn't. It would, whether it just be card games or whether I look into the general gaming sector. Like, it's about whether I see a genuine growth in what I'm doing here, and it wouldn't just be me. It'd be like working with someone. There'll be someone that maybe does know board games that I'd say, well, look, I've already got this. Do you want to jump in on it, and let's make it a bigger thing? Like, you don't know what it's going to be. So, well, yeah, and I've considered the hybrid approach. I'm thankfully at a point in my day job career where it's kind of, I've got the skills I need to do things, and there's always that whole, oh, would you be a contractor or whatever, and there's the ability there now that everyone's working from home. There's lots more opportunity out there, but yeah, right now this is very much a passion project. I'm looking to seek avenues for.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I also, at the end of the day, it is a hobby. So like,
Mm.
people, I find that people like I think Gary V very like famously said it. He's like, monetize your hobby was like his big thing,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
and like
hearing those things, yeah.
yeah, like monetizing your hobby is great, but your hobby becoming your job can sometimes be a problem because
And that's why it'd have to be, yeah. If it was just Pokemon, I think there's so many things that could frustrate you, that and it's so easy to just get caught up in the whirlwind that is Pokemon at any given time. Aside from this current boom, at any given time, Pokemon's just, the release schedules and all the things that are coming out. But yeah, it'd have to be something that I feel like I can build on before I made that switch. Because yeah, for that exact reason, like, allowing something that you love to be the thing that you're forced to do, is a problem. Because at some point there'll be a point where you want to be able to step away, but you can't. Even temporarily, a week off or whatever, and you feel like all you're hearing is cards, cards, cards. It's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, especially just like because obviously I just said I have an eBay. It's not like huge, but like if I don't sell anything for a couple of weeks, it's just totally fine. Like, but if it's my job and I don't sell anything for a couple of weeks, that's a problem.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and the other thing is, I'd only see this being a long-term thing if I was making enough to then have a physical location.
Yeah.
You know, web store has allowed me to keep costs low. There's by no means no cost to having this set up, but it's significantly less than someone that's definitely paying a couple of grand a month to have a little box somewhere on the high street or whatever. I couldn't even tell you how much it costs to rent a commercial property, but yeah, it there's lots of steps. It has to be more successful than you think before you ever get to that point of thinking I can just stop everything else I'm doing now. So yeah, it's almost like, and again, everyone has their own view on this, but you're more quickly like you're quicker going to hire someone new to help you out than make the switch to physical and feel like you can make it your full-time job. Because if it makes enough money to be your full-time job and make you enough money to survive, it's going to be way too much for one person to be managing, if that makes sense. Like there'll be too many orders coming in for one person to be customer service, packing, delivering, ordering, account managing, all of it. So it actually, yeah, you end up hiring people, if anything, before you ever consider quitting your own job.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we've talked about the issues with distributors and sourcing product. Is there anything running like your own collectible store that is a challenge that people probably don't think about?
Is there a challenge? I mean, so as I said, I've got a little bit of experience with all this. We touched on it just a minute ago, which is a term in economics and business, which is sunk costs. So expect, if you ever want to do this properly, expect to drop quite a lot of money early that you're not going to see for a long time. A lot of people think, oh, it's as simple as buying up a few products and when they sell you can buy new ones, but the flow of money is a lot slower than you think. Payments companies, I mean, it's a good way to look at it. It's something that eBay is doing to a lot of their users now. So I think they're phasing it. So some people may have had this, but some people may not have. But payments companies tend to take a day or two to move the money properly. Part of like all their AML checks and regulatory requirements. So now when you get paid for an eBay thing, PayPal is big enough and has the capital to go, we know we're going to see that money. We've done our initial checks. So we're going to credit your account now and you can do what you want with the money. We'll eventually get it in our account later. No problem. And that's where the instant payment from PayPal comes from. The money hasn't actually moved from that person's account to your account, because you'll see the same thing. Like when PayPal has charged you for something you bought on eBay, yes, the PayPal charge is gone, but you don't see it go out of your account till 2 or 3 days later. And so that flow, when you're a business, you are much more I can't think of the word now, but the effects are felt much more. Cash flow is a huge thing where you can, I could buy, I don't know, 10k worth of stock today. It arrives, I sell it all in the space of a week. A lot of that money I'm not going to see for another, let's say, week at best. It finally comes back in, you pay out your charges, and only then have you got money to reinvest. So you have to be very careful about how much you think you're going to be putting into something like this. And I say 10k, like I'm the numbers are out of nowhere. Like, I'm not talking about the sort of numbers you actually need to get involved in this. You can start with very little, but there are cash flow is a genuine thing you have to get your head around very early on. We can always talk about taxes.
Yeah, sure. There's just like, because there's a lot of things that like if a lot of people who are selling don't pay taxes at all, which
no, so it's
it's not ideal.
And that's part of the misconception as well. Of so I talking on this a lot of things that are happening in the with the distributors like Asmodee. You may have seen. I think I remember seeing something from Pat Champ, who's someone on Twitter that I see, a YouTuber that I see on Twitter a lot, talking about, oh, it's going to be great. Like Asmodee have sought to legitimize is the wrong word, sought to kind of change their customer base by saying that all, so they stopped taking on Pokemon focus registrations in November of last year. In March of this year, they stopped taking all registrations, and I think they're only about ready to open up again to new registrations, no matter what you want to buy. Maybe sometime in June. But one of the things that they're saying is everyone that registers as a customer of this distributor, Asmodee, has to be VAT registered. And everyone suddenly saw that and went, oh, that's going to get rid of bedroom sellers. Like, and that's where a lot of, stoking, pitchforks and everything. And it was kind of, there's a misconception around who does and doesn't pay tax. I mean, bedroom, if someone's going around from Tesco to Tesco or, sniping, using bots to snipe websites or whatever it might be, fine. Yes. When they resell, it's very unlikely they're paying any kind of tax. But at the very least, to work with a distributor, you have to be a registered company. And by being a registered company, HMRC know everything. So this VAT thing is absolutely nothing new. What the VAT thing seeks to do, VAT gets paid on everything. So at the moment, I'm not VAT registered. So when I sell something to you, I just give you the cost because I've paid the VAT already. I paid Asmodee the 20% VAT, which means that the HMRC get their value added at some point in that chain. So now I get to sell to you without having to worry about that. All that VAT registration does is shift the responsibility. So now when I go to Asmodee or my other distributors, I'll say to them, I'm VAT registered. So when you sell to me, give me the cost exclusive of VAT. And then when I eventually sell it, I'm going to be the one that has to go, and here's 20% of that to HMRC. To you, the customer, you'll still see a retail price. I then have to go, now of that retail price, it's almost like paying eBay their fees in the old way, where it used to be, right, you sell for everything, you get all the money, and then eventually eBay slap you with an invoice of 15 to 20%, whatever it might be, saying these are all the fees that you have to pay, final value fees you have to pay. That's what VAT is a bit like. You kind of sell everything, you get all the money, you're sitting there thinking, oh wow, I've got so much more to reinvest in and so much more working capital. But then eventually HMRC come knocking, going, you owe us 20% of that. So off it goes. And so up until now, Asmodee did that for a lot of their customers because they weren't all VAT registered. Now Asmodee are saying, if you're really serious, you're going to get VAT registered because it's a lot less admin for us. Because they've got so many accounts now, like they can't be hiring these people just for these small accounts. So they're shifting some of that admin. That's all that is. You're not paying any more. No more or less taxes, or is being paid. So yeah, it will stop bedroom sellers. But those people that most people refer to as bedroom sellers aren't even customers of these distributors because they can't be. You have to have a registered company or be registered as a sole trader, which again means that there's certain records and HMRC has that visibility of you. So yeah, like I say, I am a bedroom seller. Well, by definition, I'm a bedroom seller because I'm working. My stock sits in a room in my home, and I work from home, and Royal Mail come to my house every day, and I give them a bag of things that I've labelled up and sorted into the various bags. But it depends what you mean by bedroom seller, really. Those people that are running around those shops scalping, that's a very different thing. They wouldn't, this Asmodee thing is not going to change that.
Yeah,
sorry, that's a very long rant there.
No, it is these things that like you, as a primarily a consumer, I just don't think about, because I don't need to think about that. The only mention of VAT I get is when I buy something from a website and it gives you the exclusive VAT, like exclusive of VAT price, and you're like, oh, okay. I just paid.
It looks cheaper, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
it gets paid somewhere is the main thing. And I wanted to refer back to, so I think PTCG Radio was one of the people that kind of talked up this VAT thing, and it became a bigger thing about bedroom sellers and how they're, spawns of the devil, and they're the reason everything's so bad at the moment. There is a slight hypocrisy with the YouTube side of things, where they complain about scalping this and that, and there's not enough for everyone, but then at the same time you see a video 2 days down the line which is they've gone and bought 58 boxes of, I don't know, the Surf Etch thing, because that's what happened to be on the shelves at the time. So I don't think it became a bit of a talking point, but it was misdirected. A lot of people get their understanding and knowledge from these YouTubers who frankly don't have a clue what's going on. They just have their own little warped understanding, and they think, well, people listen to me, I'm going to talk. And unfortunately that's what that's what led to it. But then you've got great people like I mentioned, this palette _TK on Instagram, who's gone, no, they're not all bad, because you go from one side, you go, oh, support small streamers, and I'm a small YouTube account, you have to support me. People at Logan Paul might give us a bad name, but at the same time, to tar sellers with the same brush is almost hypocritical. But then you've got, like I say, Palette TK, who then goes, no, they're not all bad, but it's very hard to tell which one's good and which one's bad. So here's a few tips. As so look for the registration numbers. Every limited company legally has to show their limited company number on their website. You'll see it. You'll all know where I live because it's on my website. Like that's part of the transparency of being a business. You can tell when someone's a bit more legitimate, and always, if it's first time buying, even if you see that number, go to companies. It's a government website called Companies House. Go and check that number is valid and matches up slightly, because these are all little things that can make you see, oh, hey, actually, they're not just some person that's spun. Because websites are so easy to spin up. There's websites that will make you websites now for £5 a month. There's little things you can do. Similarly, Trustpilot. I mean, I hate it, but I love it. The beauty, like I mentioned before, the beauty of this community is, whether it be just via a post on Instagram or a story or a whatever, or going straight to Trustpilot. I mean, I've got a situation where every order I have, I've integrated it, and with coding and nonsense, to make sure that everyone gets an invite to put a Trustpilot review. Some people do, some people don't, but the majority of people just, when they've had a good thing and they know that you're a small company, they go, yeah, that's 2 minutes of my time to make sure that this person and other people can see this person is trustworthy, because that's what's very hard to find at the moment. Unless you go straight to Chaos Cards and Total Cards, Jesus Christ, for a company that has almost been the champion of low price, like good pricing, they've almost been the worst form of corporate gouging, like corporate big seller gouging, that I've seen in this whole period. And so when the people you think you can trust can't be trusted, how, where else are you going to look? And things like that will really, really help. And the more people rate their experiences, it feels like it doesn't mean anything, but it really does help when you sort of rate your good experiences.
Yeah, I just second that. Like, small companies live and die on their reputation. So if you can review them, always do. You were mentioning about Trident cards earlier.
Yeah,
His physical storefront's actually about 20 minutes from me,
amazing.
so I might pop down there sometime, have a look.
Yeah, I mean, again, my interaction with Trident, my interaction with most people, in fact, everyone. I don't know what I'm talking about. My interaction with everyone in this community has been virtual, entirely virtual. You're one of maybe 3 people that I've spoken to as well. Like, it's all been text, but you can just tell when someone's passionate. And yes, at the end of the day, sellers are making money. They're not going to do it for the charity, but there's making a bit of money, and then there's taking the absolute Mickey. And I don't know. I can't comment on everyone, but I just know that as a seller community, I know that Trident has been very, very helpful. And similarly, we all ask each other questions where we can, and um, it's been a journey. So yeah, definitely check it out. I know a couple of people that go down there and just walk away with glowing reviews. Um,
Yeah,
just of the experience they have.
I've bought from him before online.
Yeah.
Just I haven't been there in person. It's a little bit awkward getting there from where I live with the public transport, but I've definitely got to go down there sometime.
You're a Midlands boy then.
Yeah, not originally, but I am now.
Oh.
So I'm from Hertfordshire originally, and then I moved up here for uni, and I've not left. So
nice. It's a really good part. I really like Nottingham. I was in Nottingham for a few years, and it's very nice. Yeah. Sorry, this is still a podcast.
No, I'm in Nottingham right now. So, yeah, you were saying about like the whole people have this misconception that you're not in it for the money, and obviously anyone who runs a business is.
Oh yeah,
that's just what businesses are.
I would never. Sorry.
But I heard a thing once, and it said that the reason that Disney are one of the greatest companies in the world is because they market in such a way that they give the impression that they're doing everything they can to help you and provide something for you completely off their own back.
And there's a reason we had a couple of decades of companies developing what they call corporate social responsibility. Like, it's just anyway. Sorry, you.
Yes, it's like the customer service you provide is entirely. I don't mean you generally. I mean businesses as a whole. Like it's to. I don't want to say facade because it sounds kind of not the right word, but like you give the impression that you are going out of your way to help a customer, and when they feel like you are, they are more inclined to buy from you.
Yeah,
and it's just what customer service is all about. Like that's why you message people back on eBay at all hours of the night, just to you help them out, and they buy from you.
And in some respects as well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm shooting myself in the foot, but I genuinely am such a fan. I mean, there's so many Discord things I joined where I was just like, I'm here as a fan of the YouTuber, and I don't want to let them know I have a store, and then eventually it comes out and whatever. And but yeah, at the end of the day, every interaction you have with anyone, this is life advice, guys. Every interaction you have with everyone, there's some element of mutual gain, or at best, unless you really know them, where there's true altruism. But even the people you think that are altruistic and doing it for charity, that if you know that they're doing it for charity, then they're not just doing it for charity. You know what I mean? So yeah, take everything with a pinch of salt. But yeah, remember that when you're interacting with a seller, it's slightly different. Like, sorry, I'm going to refer to us as bedroom sellers because I don't think it's a bad thing. But a bedroom seller is the equivalent of a small streamer. You support them. There are good ones, there are bad ones. Simple. But yeah, the difference in the bedroom seller is you are talking to the company. You are talking to the business. You're not talking to an employee of the business. You are talking to the business. So there's a lot to be said based on the way that business is interacting with you compared to others. If someone is, like you say, and like what you do, there's no difference other than a few forms and tax returns that and company like government WOTCs that I have to do between me and you or others who sell on eBay. I go through the same process. I find the product, I sell the product, I work out the price, I work out my margin, I work out what I can reinvest. I pack it, I take it to the, well, I don't take it. I have Royal Mail come and collect it, but I sort out the postage. I just have a website. I have a logo. I mean, you have a logo. Everyone, there's, but when you're an eBay seller, you still like, it's almost the Disney of it all. An eBay seller is still a consumer in some respects, but a web store stops being a consumer, even though I guarantee you there's very little difference in the whole thing of it. Okay, right, yeah, I get to work with distributors, but honestly, sometimes it's not worth the headache. No, I'm joking. If anyone genuinely is interested in the whole thing, and I've said this to everyone that I've come across, I'm happy to talk about how to, what to look out for and how to get into it. It's not hard. It comes across scary, and there is work to be done. But once you know, it's the sort of known unknowns and the unknown unknown, all that. Like once you suddenly hear about it, you kind of go, oh, okay, so it's a challenge, but I understand the challenge now. If it's genuinely something you've been considering, it is a crowded market. I knew I was coming into a crowded market. I knew it was only going to get more crowded. You know, set your expectations before you do jump into this all, and you'll have a good time with it. You'll learn a lot, and it's a very weird because I still interact with. You've had interactions with me where I still talk to people like I'm just part of the community, and I realize sometimes like I'm doing it because I'm just typing something out, and then I think to myself, oh, actually, when someone reads that, if Total Cards did that to me, I'd be like, who the hell is this person talking? Like this company talking to me? Like I probably should just break those two things away, but to me, it's one in the same. Especially the size I am and the size I intend to be for a while. Like I don't this could never be a big thing, and I'd be absolutely happy with it as long as I can provide a service that works. You know, great. I mean, I'm not here sitting here going, I'm the next. I don't know. What's it? I don't know. What big ASOS? I don't know who's. I'm not the next Jeff Bezos. I don't intend. I don't want to be. I never will be. I don't have huge grand plans for this, which to some people might put some people off and go, well, what's the point? But it's an extension of my hobby. It's an extension of my hobby that I feel like I've got the knowledge and thankfully the ability, the access to provide this service. So why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think that's the way you should kind of attack anything in life, really. It's like because there's the whole thing about carving out your niche, right? And sometimes your niche can be you. Like you can feel that you can provide a service that other people can't in an already crowded market, which to a certain extent is why I started this podcast, right? There's millions of podcasts in the world. There's hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon podcasts. And I just thought I'll give it a go because I feel like I can provide something new. And if you want to, whether it's starting a Pokemon store or starting a YouTube channel or, just anything in life really, if you feel you can do it better than someone who's doing it already, just go for it. And that's my TED talk for today.
I think I've heard about 15 TED talks, but they're less TED talks and more just kind of me talking to a wall. Because but yeah, it's not as I guess it doesn't even have to be feel like you can do it better. Feel like you can do it well, because just because there's one already doesn't mean there shouldn't be another one. That's that don't feel like, and because it's that striving to be better than someone that leads you to doing nothing, and certainly with this, you mentioned before, failing often or failing fast or whatever it might be. Like you will find stumbling blocks along the way. You will hit situations. I got hit by my first import tax bill the other day, and I was like, didn't expect it to be like that. And I mean, I've dealt with them before, but like it was unexpected based on what I was ordering, and I checked the thresholds and this and that, and then suddenly, bam, I got this, and I was like, that's just that hurt. That made me think, what am I doing? And when I realized just quite how laborious some elements of shipping can be, and but you learn and you kind of adapt, and it's if you feel like it's something you want to do, just I would genuinely tell you, my advice would be try it. And sorry, I'm not just talking about selling. I'm talking about anything that you've looked at and you think. I guess I'm echoing what you just said, really, which is don't shy away from it.
Yeah, especially, you know, while we're still briefly all stuck indoors, like
Yeah.
just give it a go. And if it if it all goes wrong, then sometimes that's just the way it is, isn't it?
I mean, you should always plan for it to go wrong as well. That's another thing I'd say. Like I mentioned, there's a reason. The first thing I mentioned when you said about what might people not consider is the sunk cost. Like, be ready to lose what you put in initially.
Yeah,
Don't expect to lose it, but be ready to lose it. And plan accordingly. Like, just think to yourself, well, actually, I'm not going to do. I created my own website and I host it and all that because I have that knowledge of how to do that. But a lot of people that have jumped into this have just gone to Shopify, which is an incredible platform. I'd implore anyone to use it because it does everything so well. I was just like, that's one of the things where I can limit my exposure by not paying £30 a month for a storefront that's done for me because I know I can do it. In hindsight, Shopify is 100% the way to go. It does so much, so well, but you have to be ready to that's kind of early cost that you're not going to recoup for a while, kind of thing. So, yeah, there's things to consider.
yeah. I think that's probably a good place to end. Um,
Yeah.
we've discussed a lot. It's been interesting, honestly. It's a lot of the stuff that I just have no knowledge on, like the sales aspect, the setting up business, the tax kind of things. I just it's not something that I deal with in my everyday life.
No.
As a student, I don't earn enough to pay tax anyway, so
I mean, it wasn't something I dealt with until very recently, I guess. So, but it's a learning curve, and it's not one that is too steep for anyone. That's all I'd say. Yeah.
So I'm gonna end how I seemingly end every episode now, which is with the Route 101 segment. So if there's one thing that you hate about Pokemon or collecting in general that you wish we could deal without, what would it be?
It's hard because I remember in the first episode when I heard this moment come up, Bulbio just said exactly what I was thinking. So I'm going to try and think of something different. Damn it! I should have prepared this bit. I think what? Yeah. Can I just say raffles again? I don't. No, I won't do that. eBay fees. I hate eBay fees. Can that be one? Because it really does change collecting. The eBay being the one place you can buy and sell and feel like you can buy and sell is tough because everything then becomes 15% more expensive. I think it's something that is changing, but the trust within the community and the collecting and not feeling like everyone's trying to get one over on you, that's something that's slowly changing. But there's so many scammers about, and that it takes one scammer, one person to run off with your money. I think you talked about it. Someone took about 70k worth of orders in and ran off with it all. It takes one bad egg to tarnish everything. But that trust that's building back up is something that I really like. And so, if I could get rid of eBay, I would. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
it.
That's fair.
No, it's hard. No, yeah.
eBay is where I sell the majority of things that I sell, and it's just a mistake. Like the internet would be a lot better without eBay, but you know what? You pay that 15% for the reach, don't you? More than anything else.
No, it's exactly it. But go back to good old trading. Get rid of COVID. If that's one thing I get rid of from collecting, it's the COVID element of it all.
Yeah, I think that's probably not an unpopular opinion. Imagine if we had this a huge boom, but without with the ability to go and actually see people and train in person. But you never know, we might not be in this position, and in a couple of months we will be able to go and see people.
Exactly it. That's the hope, and we can. I might see people. I might have to see people that I've spoken to online. That's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
And this is the final thing. I know what my real Route 101 would be. It's not getting rid of raffles, but it's getting rid of raffles that are referred to as razzes. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I don't understand either.
God, does it annoy me? Like, oh, I've got a razz going. What is that? So yeah, my eBay's fine. eBay, you can stay. Get rid of the word razz.
We should
raffles are fine.
Pokemon tombolas instead.
Oh God, I used to play a thing. You can cut this absolutely, but I used to play a thing called Neopets a lot, and Tombola was a huge part of like the daily. That it was a thing where it was like an online kind of, you had your own pet and there was a world, and it was like a HTML based thing, and it got to the point where I was systematically, day by day, I had this series of clicks that I do around this site to do every activity that you needed to do on a daily basis, and Tombola was one of them. I don't think I've ever seen it ever since, but the word Tombola just brings back these memories of just being this 12-year-old robot just going click, click, click. Oh, I won something. Click, click. Oh, I didn't win. Click, click. Crazy.
That's how I played Pokemon Go for about a year. Just like log in every day, catch something, spin a Pokestop, claim a reward, and then log back out again.
Yeah, I'm in Pokemon Go just for the raids now. Like every so often there'll be a Discord popping off. Oh, the new rated. I'm like, okay, I'll do one of those, and you won't see me for 2 more months. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, this has been really nice chatting. It's been good.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and sorry for going on so much about.
No, it's good. Just to end, where can people find you? What's your website and your social media and stuff like that?
So the social media across all platforms is Card Bazaar UK, 1Z, 2 A's. And the website itself is cardbazaar.co.uk.
I'll leave all the links and stuff in the description below, like a good YouTuber.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, have a great day.
I've got more episodes lined up already, so there will be one. I'm going to try and do them every Friday, so this will go up this Friday or today if you're watching it. Yes. And yeah, I'll try and make it a weekly thing. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and I will see everyone later. Goodbye.
Bye.